Sickening, and off she goes to one of the many government detention facilities in China, all of course for her health and safety. This, of course, the same policies that Dr. Fauci wanted to introduce here in the United States. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a plethora of absolutely wild and bewildering news to get into today. This, as it looks like things are definitely, surprisingly, getting better. Yes, you heard that correctly, as we're going to be making an argument in this video about how things are actually looking up and are very promising in our social media landscape. This especially after the major moves being made by Elon Musk and the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and as things are shaping up better for the United States, things internationally are a little bit more different. This as the situation with Russia has actually turned for the worst. The Russians are preparing for some very bad things, but we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of today's broadcast was originally shared by a Telegram channel that I was watching, highlighting more zero sickness policies in China that, of course, many Western elites wanted to introduce here in the United States. And even though things highlighting the absolutely crazy situation that many people in China face, this, as of course the Western man also, let's be honest here, isn't doing really that good as well. With a diet filled with fluoride, glyphosate, seed oils, and high fructose corn syrup, having his testosterone stunted like his ambitions, I think it's fair to say that we are seeing some kind of fifth generational warfare be practiced on the modern man, but not all is bad, especially with some of the latest news that we have been getting. This, as I think we need to realize that not all things are bad, as recently the front man for FTX also just was arrested, even though a major component of the corporate media establishment, as well as the major political party in charge, really didn't want this to happen, as also coincidentally he was arrested right before he was about to address Congress. But yeah, that's just another coincidence. This, as it definitely looks like the corporate media landscape is changing very dramatically, as we have this latest video coming from a meeting with the Washington Post, a newspaper that is known for predominantly regurgitating anonymous sources from the CIA and is owned by Jeff Bezos, that literally lost nearly 500,000 subscribers in the past year, that just announced that major layoffs are coming to the paper. And the meeting about this really didn't go that well.
Call into a grievance session for the
session. You just
ask the question.
Brad, you talked about positions getting eliminated. What are you going to do to protect people's jobs? Are they going to be treated like the magazine staffers were?
We'll have more information as we move forward. Thank you very much.
And how is your position decided?
I'm trying to know that you seem to be just.
And the muffled noises behind those masks weren't really happy. This, as of course, independent media, I would say, is thriving and growing by the day, becoming more reliant and honest than, of course, the big corporate media. And one reason why that is happening is because of social media, but particularly Twitter, as it is exposing with its Twitter files that the social media giant was predominantly a giant anti-establishment censorship machine, and most likely an intelligence gathering apparatus of the many government-connected agencies in Washington, D.C. This, as today we're finding out rumors that Twitter might actually be moving from San Francisco and most likely going to another jurisdiction that is more friendly to them, like Texas or Florida. We also found out today that Elon Musk will be releasing important files that allegedly show communication between Twitter executives and government officials, specifically officials connected to, if not directly from Dr. Fauci, that were pushing for censorship for anyone that didn't agree with their made-up assertions within the last 3 years. This after we had this interaction with the Hodge twins with Elon Musk, who's hinting at the fact that there are going to be a lot of these messages released to the general public very soon. Messages that would implicate Dr. Fauci as not only a propagandist, as not only someone who was lying to the American people, making things up, getting things wrong routinely, but also someone who was doing the exact opposite of what the scientific method calls for, and of course limiting any kind of critique assessment that didn't go along with his perceived viewpoint and agenda. Now, I think it's fair to say that this release of these messages will be very eye-opening for the general public, but also very embarrassing for Dr. Fauci, that now is firing back against Elon Musk, claiming somehow that Twitter is a cesspool of misinformation, as Elon Musk is promising to release documents and the receipts of his conversations. Now, if someone is showing you direct evidence and proof, actual conversations that are recorded to have happened, how is that misinformation? It's not, and it's pretty clear that Dr. Fauci is very insecure here, as he's going to be implicated with the censorship of the actual science, which he proclaimed himself to be. Now, as far as for the conversations on Twitter, I have to attest that a lot of the conversations are now more free-flowing, more honest. Anyone is able to counter bad ideas with good ideas, which is the absolute opposite antithesis of what misinformation is. And this is why I think it's fair to say that we have moved on from Orange Man Bad to now Spaceship Man Bad, as the corporate media looks at any and every possible way to try to hurt Elon Musk, including going after his application for U.S. citizenship, which now, according to some reports, many prominent attorneys are investigating in order to see if Elon Musk made any kind of mistake or if he lied, since they are trying to take away his U.S. citizenship and try to get him deported. Yes, you heard that correctly, showing you just how absolutely desperate some people are, as a lot of these same legal firms and political party represented here in these larger witch hunts are also the same people that are calling for the southern border to be wide open as it is right now. Now, as we await the next Twitter files, specifically with government officials censoring actual scientists, there are highly prestigious individuals like Dr. Robert Malone and Peter McCullough that are finally getting their accounts restored on Twitter. Highly credentialed medical professionals that, of course, are finally going to be able to add their 2 cents to the national discourse and dialogue happening in this country. And that, to me, is great news, as well as the good news of what's happening in Florida, where the governor there will be calling for transparency, accountability, and responsibility by Big Pharma after launching a grand jury, a new committee, and a new investigation into some very important topics that we're going to be discussing more thoroughly on LukeUncensored.com, as of course the platform that we're on right now, we can't talk about everything that we want to talk about. We can't talk about specific issues that we want to talk about, but we built a platform where we could say and do what we want. You participating in this platform, you signing up to this platform, allows us to say and do whatever we want, as well as also have a forum where you get to talk to other like-minded individuals. We just, by the way, announced the winner of last week's giveaway on LukeUncensored.com, and we're starting a new giveaway today on LukeUncensored.com to see what we're giving away, to see how you could win this coveted, very prestigious prize that only very few exclusive people will have on the face of this earth. It's only one thing. Very funny memorabilia. To have that, you have to check out today's video on LukeUncensored.com. So if you're a member, make sure to log in and to participate in the larger giveaway that is predominantly also happening through our forum, where all of us get to talk to each other. You get a lot of other things by being a member. Too many things to mention. We give you a lot of value. I'm spending most of my time creating content for LukeUncensored.com, talking to you guys. So sign up if you haven't signed up yet, which of course will also help us not only speak the bigger truths here, but more importantly, grow and sustain this independent media organization without any major corporate influence. Now, of course, we're still not done in the making of this video, as of course there still is a lot of things happening internationally that are not as hunky-dory as they are here domestically inside of the United States, as crazy video footage has just come out of the stick fighting that is happening between the Indian and Chinese army in the Himalayan mountains, showing you that we are very close to total lunacy taking over, as war is usually a norm of recorded human history, not an exception to the rule, but the rule itself. This as the United States is pouring billions and billions of dollars into a proxy war between Ukraine and Russia, which represents the larger war between the East and the West. Ukraine is the proxy for this greater conflict, and that conflict is escalating as, of course, Ukraine has recently launched 3 very significant military strikes within Russia that now have the Russians responding back with some very tough talk that again is kind of routine here in this conflict, but they're matching their tough talk with preparing, of course, a lot of their nuclear weapons. This as Newsweek is reporting that Russia is priming a nuclear bomb that is 12 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. This as the New York Post is reporting how the Russians are also readying their massive nuclear missiles that are, of course, are capable of hitting the United States and the United Kingdom. All of this as another YouTube channel, Task and Purpose, did a very well done video specifically talking about how this conflict is escalating and becoming more dangerous than ever, even though many U.S. corporate media outlets are largely ignoring the bigger significance of what is on the line here, as of course there are many pro-war voices in the U.S. corporate media that are usually cheering on these larger escalations rather than calling for de-escalations. And with this conflict escalating, so do of course the larger financial problems associated with it, especially when it comes to energy, especially when it comes to heat, especially when it comes to people having the ability to live their lives in very cold climates that are now having a shortage of energy, which will be going into the next year, the year after that, and have significant consequences on the poorest people of this world. All of this as Saudi Arabia and China now have aligned themselves more closely than ever, showing a clear shifting of the paradigms away from Iran towards Saudi Arabia, which is the main country that Henry Kissinger set up in order to run the U.S. Petrol Dollar. And with Saudi Arabia and China aligning themselves from security to oil, working more closely together, I think it's fair to say that the U.S. hegemony and the U.S. Petrol Dollar is, in an extent, something that is threatened here, but you wouldn't know that from the White House that is too busy hosting drag queens as they're signing laws and bills that already exist in this country, patting themselves on the back with how woke they are. Again, literally, this is what the White House is doing right now as the United States petrodollar faces some significant questions. This as the world is closely facing a larger escalation of a possible nuclear war, and these people are passing bills that won't actually have any kind of real effect on anyone, since, again, they're already widely respected here in the United States, and this is what they're focusing on. This is what all the media attention is about, and in my opinion, you gotta be frickin' kidding me. There's a lot more important issues, especially when it comes to international relations, that do deserve our attention, that we should be talking about, that we should be focusing, that we should be pulling all of our efforts in order to try to de-escalate and fix, but we're not. We're talking about adult males dressing up in very provocative clothing and dancing in front of children, which is ridiculous. But hey, that's where we're at. If you think it's ridiculous as well, share this video with your friends and family members. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. One more video and giveaway coming your way right now on lukeuncensored.com. See you there.